Back in 2009, studio Supergiant Games, composed of 7 people, were working on their first game. The game was directed by Amir Rao and the game's narration was written by Greg Kasavin and spoken by Logan Cunningham. Gen Z created the game's art, Gavin Simon created the gameplay, Andrew Wang helped with the development of the game, and finally Darren Korb created the sound effects and music. Development took just over 2 years, and in 2011 the game was released as Bastion for Xbox Live Arcade. Later in 2015 the game was ported to the PlayStation 4, which is the version I'm looking at for this review. I already played Bastion a few years ago on Steam and had a great time. Now I can play it again and see if it is still as good as I remember.
Ain't so simple with this one. Now here's a kid whose whole world got all twisted, leaving him stranded on a rock in the sky.
You play as the kid who wakes up on a few floating segments that are almost all that remain after the calamity hit, which fractured the world into floating pieces. The game plays from an isometric point of view, and by moving around you connect the floating pieces, restoring the world back to its former self. Your first objective is to go to the Bastion, which is a place where people go to during troubling times. There you meet a stranger named Rux, who is also the game's narrator, and Logan Cunningham, who voices Rux, has such a pleasing voice to listen to that the narration never becomes annoying, and it is easily the standout feature of Bastion, as I've never experienced this in other games. The narration can also be helpful, as it often hints at what you should do next.
Kid's worked up quite a thirst by now, so that fountain looks real inviting.
Levels are varied, and in most levels you will find a core or shard that can be used to rebuild the Bastion, building new structures, allowing you to buy more items and upgrade your weapons. If you find the game too easy, you can build a shrine, where you can choose idols of the gods to invoke, making the game much more challenging while also rewarding you with more XP and money. And to test your skills even further, you can journey to who knows where to fight waves of incoming enemies, while the narrator tells a character's backstory. While making your way through the different levels, you will also discover weapons, ranging from hammers to mortars, and you can even use battering ram. All weapons are useful, so there is something for every playstyle, and trying out a newly discovered weapon is a lot of fun. My personal favorite weapon to use is the war machete in combination with the calamity cannon. These weapons can be upgraded using certain materials that can be found in the world, purchased, and can be obtained by completing challenges. These are challenges specifically designed for a particular weapon, and aside from obtaining upgrade materials, you can also win other prizes such as skills. This includes skills that deploy trip mines or allow you to perform a lightning fast flurry of strikes. Each skill use uses up 1 black tonic, which can be found lying around in the levels and are occasionally dropped by enemies. If you take too much damage, you can replenish your health by consuming health tonics.
But remember, the Bastion can fix everything.
While exploring the world, you encounter 2 other survivors, Zulf and Ura, but it isn't long before Zulf betrays you and damages the Bastion. To repair the Bastion, you need to collect shards. After finding the last shard, you run into Zulf, who is being attacked by his own people as they blame him for bringing the fighting to their home. At this point you have the option to save Zulf or leave him behind. And even though he betrayed me, I can't leave him and save him on every playthrough. Once you return to the Bastion, with or without Zulf, you get another dilemma, where you can decide to have the Bastion rewind time to before the destruction of the world, or to evacuate the survivors and move to a safer location. After you've picked one of the 2 choices, the game ends.
No matter what happens next, you're done good. I suppose all that's left is to try and remember this moment.
If you found the base game too short, you can jump into New Game Plus, which also adds the final 2 idols to challenge yourself even further. And these idols alone give the game a lot of replay value, as it is really fun to challenge yourself with these idols.
So what'll it be? Invoke the gods, or tell them off?
Even 10 years after its initial release, Bastion still looks amazing, with lots of colorful environments and stunning backgrounds that make for an instantly recognizable and very distinct art style. And to top it all off, the game has an amazing soundtrack that fits perfectly with the aesthetic of the game. Playing Bastion again for this review was really enjoyable, and I had as much fun, if not more, than the first time I experienced this great game. It has a very distinct art style that still holds up today, and the narrator is a genius addition that makes it stand out from the competition. Thus, Bastion is easily among the best indie games ever made.